In this weather update, we are forecasting a significant severe weather event in the Southern Plains tonight where severe winds, tornadoes, and hail will all be likely. All the details are coming right up. All right, welcome back into another More Weather Forecast video. I'm Beckett Moore, so let's get straight into the forecast because we do have a lot of weather to talk about. Like I just said, we do have a moderate risk of severe weather. You may have heard it from your national news, your local news, on social media. We do have that moderate risk of severe weather into southern Kansas, extreme southern parts of Kansas, into central and southwestern Oklahoma, and into extreme northern Texas. We do have that enhanced risk around that, and that slight risk around that includes even more places. In the moderate risk, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Moore, and Norman, Oklahoma, as well as Lawton and El Reno, Oklahoma. Those are all cities that are included in that moderate risk. So again, a moderate risk is a very strong risk. We have the marginal risk, which is the lowest end, and we have the slight risk, the enhanced risk, the moderate risk, and then the high risk. So moderate risk is something to take very seriously. Now let's look at the tornado threat for tonight. Again, this will be for tonight. The storms will start in a couple of hours and then go through the nighttime hours into the early morning hours of tomorrow. But we do have a 10% tornado risk just to the southwest of Oklahoma City and into the part of extreme northern Texas here, that 5% chance around that, and that 2% chance around that 5% chance, but especially here in that 5% area, just to the southwest of Oklahoma City here, is where we will have a window, probably I think from 5 to 8 p.m., where we could see strong storms that will be capable of producing tornadoes, because as these storms fire off, they will likely have rotation on them, especially the ones south in the panhandle of Texas and into western Oklahoma for a couple of hours, and that could spell trouble. We could see strong, violent tornadoes if we get the right ingredients in place. So if you're in these areas that are highlighted for a big threat of tornadoes tonight, make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have a way to get warnings, as some of these storms may go tornado warned. But that actually isn't the biggest threat we have. The biggest threat, most of you guys probably have heard, but some of you might not have, the biggest threat here is going to be that damaging wind threat. We have a significant area of damaging wind threat from Joplin, Missouri, over towards Oklahoma City, places to the southwest, as well as Tulsa, Oklahoma. That 45% area is really where we're going to see a straight line damaging wind threat, possibly a derecho, and a derecho is a line of storms that causes, above hurricane force winds that are very damaging, can rip shingles off your roofs, can lift up trampolines and things like that. Derecho is a scary word to use, but it's something we might have to use to describe this. I don't know if we're going to see a full-on, Iowa December derecho. We're probably not going to see that, but it is going to be very significant. The winds here, as you can see with this 45% risk, are going to be very major. They're going to be strong, they're going to be very significant, and possibly in excess of 80 miles an hour for Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, places to the west of Oklahoma City and into the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas here. It's a very, very significant risk that we are going to have to take very seriously. You guys are going to have to take seriously if you're in this area that are expecting it, from Joplin to Tulsa to Oklahoma City. But I really think into this area right here is where we're going to really have to watch for our biggest damaging risk, damaging wind risk, as that line of storms comes through. It's going to be quick. These are going to be quick, fast-moving storms, but they will pack a punch, and you'll be asleep, and you'll start hearing, winds going crazy outside, and that's what that'll be, will be those strong, damaging winds from these line of storms. Now looking at the hail threat, we do have a pretty significant hail threat at 15% here from southern Kansas into parts of northern Texas and into parts of western Oklahoma. Hail, I don't think it's going to be our biggest problem here, as the Storm Prediction Center doesn't think either. But again, some of these storms could definitely carry hail, and some of that hail will be big. So again, that could that hail can damage property, it can damage windows, it can damage cars, so make sure you're putting your cars in and things like that. And also those winds, I forgot to mention, will likely put out power lines and trees, so that'll cause a lot of problems here as well. So let's go on into timing this out with the HRRR model. This is actually the latest run, the HRRR, the 18Z run, or the 12 o'clock run here. So this is a very updated run. This is the latest run here. And looking at around 3 p.m., we're going to start seeing, those signs of storms starting to fire off here into extreme southeastern Colorado, but really into southern Kansas and into the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. By the time we go into around 5 p.m. here, you can see we are going to see those storms starting to get organized, starting to fire off. At this point, we won't have that big of a threat, maybe hail, but once we get into around 6 p.m., that's when these storms really start to get strong, start to get their act together. So we're looking at 6 p.m. here, and you can see probably from this point forward, it's going to be a hail damaging wind risk. I don't think there's going to be much tornado threat there, but from the Kansas and Oklahoma border southward, we are going to see that chance for storms that will likely have rotation on them. And with rotation, we can see tornadoes. And the Storm Prediction Center has outlined there that into, again, southwestern Oklahoma, as we keep playing this out, by the time we go into 8 p.m. into southwestern Oklahoma, some of these storms will go tornado warned. We will probably see tornado warnings as these storms come through, and we will likely see embedded supercells in this line or belt of storms here in Oklahoma by the time we go into 6 to 8 p.m. Again, this will be into the eastern part of the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas and into western Oklahoma. So again, this is going to be our tornado threat. It'll be a small window, but it is going to be probably significant. So as you can see, some of these storms will have that rotation on them, so you need to be prepared for that. If you're in, I think, this area right here from 6 or 5, maybe even 5 to 8 p.m., maybe into 9 p.m., but I think 5 to 8 p.m., you need to be prepared for that. The Storm Prediction Center thinks so too, so make sure you have a plan in action, that could go in action if that tornado warning does go for your area. You can also see we're going to have those very bright colored here on the simulated radar here with the HRRR. That does mean hail, so again, we could even see gorilla hail, big hail, by the time we go into 7, 8 p.m., Then, by the time we go into 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., this is looking at 9 p.m., these storms are going to start to go a little bit farther south. We're going to see those fire off a little bit farther south. But we're also going to see these storms congeal, and that tornado threat will go down. But still, that insane damaging wind threat is going to be in full force at this point. And going into Oklahoma City, Norman, and more at this point, so we're looking at 9, 10 p.m. These storms will be rolling through. Have a way to get warnings, because you might only get a severe thunderstorm warning, but it will likely be a particularly dangerous situation, severe thunderstorm warning, and that does mean these are very strong winds in excess of 75 miles an hour, so we will likely get those warnings late tonight, so looking at 9, 10 p.m. for Oklahoma City, Moore, and Norman. So trees falling down, power outages will be likely. You need to be prepared for this because these storms are going to pack a punch. You don't want to be outside either. I doubt people would be outside this time of the night, but you don't want to be outside as these storms come rolling through. And as we go into 10 to 11 p.m., again, those storms are going to roll through Oklahoma City and Norman as well as Moore. And then, again, looking here at around 10 to 11 p.m., these storms are going to go through this line of storms, or belt of storms, is going to go through Tulsa and the area south. I think once we get into 11 to 12 a.m., the severity of the winds and the severity of this line of storms will go down a little bit. I really do think it's from 7 to around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. in this corridor where we're really going to see our biggest damaging wind threat. We will see a damaging wind threat for these areas as well. I just don't think it will be as big. Still need to be prepared for that, as most of you guys in that area I just circled are in enhanced, moderate, or slight risk of severe weather. So looking at midnight here, you can see those storms. That line of storms will be going through Tulsa and areas south, as well as areas just to the north into southeastern Kansas. And then going into around 1 to 2 a.m., this line of storms will become a little bit less pronounced here, will weaken off. But As we go into early morning on Monday, these storms will go up into St. Louis, Springfield, and Rolla, as well as Jeff City. We won't be able to see that. Also, that area is only under a slight or marginal risk, so not a big risk, but that could cause, some lightning, some thunder, and some winds. But as you just saw there, this is going to be a strong line of storms, a very strong line of storms that could turn into a derecho for a point of time in Oklahoma, I think. Again, that tornado threat there into southwestern Oklahoma and into parts of the panhandle of Texas and northern Texas. Make sure you are prepared for that. This is going to be a very significant severe weather threat. Have a way to get warnings. Have a plan that you can put in action if you have a significant severe weather alert or a tornado warning. So make sure you are prepared for this. Don't be scared. Be prepared. This is going to be a significant severe weather threat. But if you're prepared, you'll be fine. Just don't get too worried. Just make sure you're prepared for that as those storms come through late tonight. So another thing that we are going to have to look at here is this midweek snow from Tuesday through Thursday here into the northeast. So looking past the severe weather, our eyes are going to shift to the northeast where we do have a snow threat where we could see a quick shout of snow here from Maine into New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, into Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. So New England into the parts of the Northeast here are going to be hit with a quick shout of snow here from Tuesday into around Thursday, but it really should be done by the time we go into late on Wednesday. So this is looking through 12 p.m. on Wednesday. This is National Weather Service forecast, and you can see into Boston, we're probably going to be getting around on 2 to 3 inches, but once you go into western Massachusetts, especially into the Green Mountains there in southern Vermont and into western Massachusetts, we could get 5 to 8 inches. The Catskills and Adirondack mountain ranges of New York, probably 5 to 8 inches, and then New York City, you could get maybe 3 to 4 inches, but that probably will melt off quick, sadly. So a quick hit of snow into these areas. Connecticut, you'll probably get around 3 to 5 inches, maybe up to 5 to 8 into the Green Mountains there in the extreme northern Connecticut. So again, this will be a quick hit of snow for northern New Jersey, into Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. But yeah, I just wanted to show that here because we haven't really seen that much snow here. So New York City, you are going to get maybe 1 to 3 inches. So I guess that could be good news for you guys. Again, these totals can change just a little bit, but this is looking through Wednesday. So this is a pretty good forecast. Make sure you're prepared for this if you are in the Northeast. But after this snow midweek, again, we're going to have the severe weather today, the snow midweek in the Northeast, and then look at this. This is looking at Friday at 6 a.m. I'm getting excited. I know some people are getting excited if they're in the weather community. But again, this is looking pretty far off. So this is looking at the end of the week into the weekend. So this is Friday of this week, since today is Sunday, the start of the week. And we do have a significant big-time storm here for parts of the Ohio Valley, Northeast, into the Midwest, and into the southern United States. You can see this 978 millibar low pressure center. This is a very strong storm. So if we see these trends continue, I will try to get videos out on this. Again, if you're a parent, if you're a school student, you may know that the 2 weeks before spring break are where a lot of schoolwork is crammed in. And since my spring break is 2 weeks from now, actually in 2 weeks I'll be on spring break. But anyways, as you know, this is a lot of time during this period. People get a lot of homework and things like that, so I might not be able to post so many videos on this, but if I can, remember, I will try to do that, and you can just see how strong the storm is going to be. That cold air there on the backside, that snow there in the middle, and likely that severe weather here into the south and southeast. We already do have, I didn't have time to put in this video, but we do have Storm Prediction Center outlooks for Thursday and Friday down here into the southeast. So again, another storm to look at. This will likely be very significant. Again, take this with a grain of salt. Things are going to change, and I will hopefully have more on this, but again, it depends if school and homework permits that. So that about wraps up this more weather forecast video. Make sure you're prepared for that severe weather risk tonight into Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, and southern Kansas. Again, there it is, that moderate risk. Make sure you're prepared for that. Again, have a way to get warnings, have a plan as those storms come through. As always, stay prepared out there, and I will see you soon with more weather.